If you still think that alcohol is just hurting your wallet and your liver, you're already losing the most important thing you have. Not everyone is going to get this, but if you have ever wondered if alcohol might be slowing you down or getting in the way, then you're in the right place. And this isn't just my story. This is going to be backed by neuroscience. Straight from one of the top brain researchers in the entire world, Dr. Andrew Huberman.
Andrew Huberman.
Andrew Huberman.
Dr. Andrew D. Huberman.
And there was one fact that he revealed about alcohol in our brains that completely blew my mind. I'll be sure to drop that later in this video, but first I'm going to tell you my experience with alcohol. I grew up in a world where alcohol was widely accepted, a social accessory that seemed essential at almost every gathering that I attended. I remember thinking as a kid, that looks pretty fun, I can't wait till I get to do that. Everybody looked so happy. People who usually weren't getting along were laughing together. The quiet ones suddenly became the life of the party. And alcohol was never questioned. It was always in the environment, like background music that nobody ever noticed. Look, I didn't have my first drink till I was 12, and I had about enough of this sober shit by then. One day while my mom was out, I opened the fridge and the door was filled with what I remember to be Coors Lights. Out of curiosity, I grabbed one. And before I knew it, drinking had become a part of my entire teenage experience. High school parties, football games, any and all get-togethers, alcohol, and other drugs were involved. Dude, and it wasn't that hard to get for me. At the age of 13, I was already 6'3" with this full beard. Nobody questioned me. And alcohol gave me exactly what I wanted. It made me brave. It made me feel like I belonged. It made me confident. Suddenly I had the nerve to ask out girls and talk to girls I never would have talked to before, dancing out in public at parties, just being social in general. It helped me feel like someone I couldn't seem to access when sober. Deep down, it all just came from wanting to be accepted, wanting to loosen up, not feel so tightly wound up inside about what people think about me or what I thought about myself. And alcohol made that seem possible. But over time, alcohol stopped being just for special occasions, birthday parties, celebrating wins at football games, Super Bowls. Suddenly it became a weekend routine. And I sure as shit didn't realize how much it had escalated because it felt normal. I wasn't the only person doing this, the people around me were doing it too. And being this large and having so many years of experience drinking, I became known as the guy who could drink. I'm 6'5" and over 300 pounds. I shit you not, I could shotgun a beer in under 2 seconds. And I could do it back to back to back. So that just became part of my identity. In the earlier days, what started out as enrichment to my life in my late teens and early 20s became a crutch. This didn't mean that I needed to get drunk every time, but I needed something. Just a sip to loosen up a little bit, just a buzz to feel normal in social situations. And I know this is gonna be hard to believe, but it got worse. Alcohol started keeping me stuck in a 5-year relationship that I should have ended years before that, stuck in a degree that I really didn't want, but I was too afraid to be uncomfortable. I would rather have suffered and stay comfortable than go against the grain. And the scary part about seeking comfort like this, you don't realize that your health is on the decline. You don't realize that all your relationships are on the decline. And you don't realize your whole life is declining in a downward direction. But around the age of 27, something changed. It wasn't an explosion, but more like a subtle itch that I couldn't seem to scratch. And I couldn't ignore it any longer. Living in this age that we live in, I kept seeing people online seemingly living their best life, living freely, doing what they loved, and surrounded by their friends. Now, I don't know if it was real for all of them. We hear this stuff about it being all faked, but for some of them, it's real. You can see it in their eyes. They look alive. And I started to realize that I wasn't, and I hadn't been for a long time. And I swear to God, one day something whispered to me that alcohol, that one thing that felt so normal, that was always just in the background, that everybody was doing, that nobody noticed, was the one thing that was holding me back. And if I didn't make a change now, I was going to wake up as another has been, another could have been, 30 years from now wondering, where did my entire life go? And now at 29, I've been sober for over 600 days. I'm healthier than I've ever been, mentally, physically, and spiritually. And I face things now. I sit with discomfort and learn how to overcome it instead of drowning it out. I don't hide in bottles, I don't hide in joints, and I don't hide in any fucking excuses either. And surprise, surprise, now that I'm not numbing myself or drowning out any of my emotions, I'm doing things that I've been wanting to do consistently that I never did. Working out, creating content, being present with my family and friends. Every day. Not just some days, every day. If you scroll back through my channel, you'll see that videos are going out week after week, consistently. Things I've been procrastinating year after year only started showing up after I sobered up. And again, it wasn't immediate, but once I sobered up and I started thinking about all the reasons and bullshit excuses I was giving myself not to start this stuff, I was able to just cancel them out because the drinking would help me numb it. I would start thinking about it, it would freak me out, numb it. But when I started facing it over and over and over, I had no choice but to figure out, what am I gonna do about it? And this is just the beginning. But now, I finally feel like I'm starting to know who I am. And I'm so grateful to be starting now instead of waiting 30 years from now. But let's get into those things that I had been researching to help us know that if you wanna do this, you're heading in the right direction and you don't need to doubt that. Backed by science. Like I mentioned in the beginning of my story, there's that normalization trap that is set up by society and the world that we live in. Alcohol crept in quietly. At first, it was just a social thing. Weekends, parties, and even a nightly uncap just to unwind, because you deserve it, right? You got home from work, it's a long day. But slowly, it starts becoming a default response to stuff. A little stressed? Drink. Feeling a little bored? Top one off. Hey, it's time to celebrate. Still, drink. We don't realize it, but alcohol becomes a way of numbing discomfort. And the subtle parts that we don't notice, sleep starts completely deteriorating. I'm sure we've all heard this one, but it is now a fact that you don't sleep at all, even if you have just one drink. You may be sedating yourself, so it feels like you're getting some sleep, but we never actually get into that deep sleep. And I'm sure we all know by now how valuable and how crucial a good night's sleep is to our health. And if we don't get that sleep, emotions are less stable, we're quicker to snap, and slower to care. And any motivation you might have for some goals, it's like a balloon with a tiny leak in it, very subtle, till you're completely deflated. But I thought I was still in control. It's really not a problem until it is a problem. The second thing I realized that it was doing to our emotions is it gives us this false calm, not a real one. Commercials, advertisement, the world pushes alcohol as a way to relax, unwind, feel at ease. Hello? You mad, bro? Goddamn. But Dr. Huberman explains that while alcohol initially acts as a sort of sedative for you, it actually completely disrupts your neurotransmitters that regulate your anxiety and stress. So even after one drink, the brain increases the activity of the stress systems, especially cortisol, the body's main stress hormone. This is known as a rebound effect. So while we think we're taking the stress off, we are actually making the baseline of our stress and anxiety worse. But I noticed after I stopped, days and weeks after alcohol, actually started to feel more calm. Initially, yeah, you kind of have a little bit of a withdrawal, kind of like if you've ever stopped cigarettes or stopped caffeine, but give it some time. So while we think we're escaping stress while doing this, we're actually creating it. And when I stepped away, I found something way better than that fake calm, some clarity in my life. And once you get a little bit of taste of that clarity, that real good shit, you don't ever want to go back to that fake shit. Now, the third thing I noticed was there was some unexpected benefits to quitting alcohol. I expected to drop some weight, most likely save some cash, but what really surprised me were changes that I couldn't have predicted. My confidence has gone through the roof, not instantly, but gradually and over time. And the reason that it actually started getting better and better was because I kept living my life. I kept hanging out with the same friends, doing the same stuff, but now I was not second guessing myself in those situations. I was the one making the decisions, so I started trusting myself more. My values even continued to get sharper, and I finally knew what mattered to me, and I stopped pretending to enjoy things I didn't care about just to please other people. I also found myself enjoying new hobbies, journaling, reading, and actually building something. And inevitably, your sex life will improve too, because the energy's there, and you actually being present in the moment makes it easier and more comfortable to have a deeper connection with the person that you're with. I started to realize I didn't want everything to be about me. And these weren't just surface level wins. These were real identity shifts, real lifestyle changes, and the real version of me. Hey, and Andrew Huberman notes that it only takes 30 to 60 days for your brain to start rewiring. He says that neuroplasticity returns, and all that means is you're giving your brain the green light to grow and start adapting again. So you don't have to wait that long. So it turns out removing alcohol is like when you're on the road and you kind of have a foggy windshield, but you don't really notice it's foggy until you turn on the defrosters and it clears up. Okay, so this fourth thing is the one that Huberman revealed that when I learned it, I was really glad I wasn't doing that to myself anymore. So chronic alcohol use, consuming alcohol as little as 2 times a week, at least 3 to 4 drinks, literally shrinks your brain. No, like dead ass, it shrinks. And the part of the brain that it shrinks is called your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision making, discipline, and long-term memory. He defines alcohol as being a neurotoxin. It damages the neurons in that part of your brain, and it decreases what he calls neurogenesis. That just means new brain cell growth. So what that means for us go-getters out there is you impair your brain's ability to plan things out, resist urges, and pursue those meaningful goals that you have. This explained a lot for me as a person who really wanted to be out of the ordinary. I didn't want to follow the beaten path of college or whatever. I wasn't just lazy and unmotivated, which I was. The literal control center of my brain was being eroded, and the longer that I continued this casual and eventually extreme alcohol use, I didn't even realize what I had lost. And this is why even small drinking habits can keep you stuck. You're not just in a fog, you're fundamentally less equipped to make a change. So when we're weakening that prefrontal cortex, we're not just losing our willpower, we lose all direction in general. Lastly, I had to reframe what it really meant to quit. I had to stop thinking as quitting drinking as some sort of punishment, like my life was gonna be boring, like I couldn't go out and have fun with my friends. It was more about saying yes to a future that I get to make the decisions to. And something that I didn't realize was so important, being able to feel the good and the bad in life. Because it turns out I'm having 10 times more fun hanging out with my friends, doing the same shit than I ever did when I got plastered. And shit, you can ask them, they can see it in me. They can see how much I'm enjoying my time with them and how much life that I am bringing into the situation. You stop wasting your weekends and you start stacking progress. You start remembering more conversations. You follow through on your plans and you stop making the same decisions over and over again, expecting a different result. Huberman points out that it only takes a few weeks for your brain to start seeing these changes. The better memory, better sleep, and clearer thinking. And overall, more energy to be able to pursue those things that really matter to you. So don't worry about quitting it forever. Just give it a couple weeks. See if it's a life that you actually enjoy. And you'll never know till you actually try. There is someone inside you that you've never met, and they're counting on you to be able to show up and give yourself an actual chance at life. I hope this video has taught you something, to give you that permission to take that step to try being without alcohol just for a little bit. And if you enjoyed this video, you're gonna really like this one up here. Thank you.